Hey everybody, this is Brian coming back again with another topic helping you optimize your business to get better outcomes. I'm super excited for the topic this week and what we're going to cover the next few weeks, which will tie into it. It's really one of my favorite aspects of business, one of the reasons that I do what I do and did what I did for so long in the corporate space. We're talking about people management. Now, for me personally, I love managing people from the perspective that it's such an opportunity to share your knowledge and help other people grow. And that's just really exciting for me. I love helping other people. And when I think back through my career of everything that I've done, it's always been one of the favorite aspects of any of the jobs that I've had. And it is something, if you don't know, I have a master's degree in organizational leadership. That's how much I like leading and managing people. And I decided to spend 2 years and a bunch of money to try and get better at it. So I'm real excited for the next few weeks as we dive into people management. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, for me, talking about people management, it's actually a really broad category. So even if you're a solo entrepreneur today, pay attention for the next few weeks because you're going to learn things that even if all you're doing is every now and then you're engaging on Fiverr or Upwork to get a task done, you're going to find information that will be useful to help you manage those freelance resources. Okay, so there's a lot to cover. And even if you don't have teams or big teams today in your business, you'll find some things that are going to help you as you start to engage freelancers. And at some point, I'm sure your expectation is to grow your business to a point where you do have employees, and this will help you do that. So let's first talk about the way that I think about categories or types of employees in your business. There are a few core types that you should understand. The reason that it's important to understand this is because you're going to have different needs, therefore different systems for different types of employees because they require different things. Okay, so the first type of employee we'll talk about or people resource in your business is the traditional full-time or potentially part-time employee. This is somebody that works for your business. You pay their taxes for them. They often have benefits associated, things like insurance, 401ks, all different kinds of other benefits, potentially stock options, things like that. So that's one type of category, and I'll refer to them generally as FTEs, even though they might be part-time, FTE, full-time employee. But they're usually, when I say the word employee, that's what I'm referring to. Or if I refer to them as FTEs, that's what I'm referring to. These are the people that work for your business. You expect a long-term relationship with them. They're not going anywhere. Category one of people resources. Category two would be a contractor. A contractor is typically hired through an agency, and a contractor will be brought in anywhere between a couple of weeks and a year or more sometimes, depending on what local laws you have and how you're able to keep contractors around. But a contractor is different from that FTE in the sense that a contractor usually is just paid an hourly rate. It's oftentimes higher than you would pay an FTE, but a contractor is not going to receive any of those additional benefits. They don't get insurance, they don't get stock, they don't get even things like vacation or any of those other benefits that you would give what you would consider an FTE or a W-2 employee. W-2 in the US is a tax form that identifies a certain class of employee. So that's contractor class number two or type number two. The third type of people resource that you want to think about for your business is the freelancer. So this is somebody that you would find typically through an application like Fiverr or Upwork, somebody that's going to come in and work on a very specific task or project for you. You're going to pay them just one-off through this application that you found them in. And again, they're very different, even though they all might be working alongside each other. The way you think about your freelancers needs to be different than the way you think about your contractors or your FTEs. Then the fourth classification of people resources is a vendor. A vendor is somebody that you go out and engage with to do specific work in your business, but the relationship that you have with the vendor and the people actually doing the work is oftentimes very different than the relationship you would have with either an FTE, a contractor, or a freelancer. So oftentimes vendor resources are managed by the vendor, and you've got some kind of link between your business and that vendor, a manager on your side or a project manager. You'll have a point of contact on the other side. And when it comes to the day-to-day of who's managing those resources, oftentimes the vendor is managing those, not your employees or you as the business owner or team lead. So that covers the 4 different types of resources that I want you to be thinking about. The next thing I want to talk about before we get into the actual people management side of this, I want to talk a little bit about life cycles. Life cycles are something that exists in your business, and you have a lot of different life cycles depending on what you do, what your industry is, how your organization is set up, the products that you sell. All of those types of things contribute to the number and types of life cycles that exist in your business. And life cycles are important to understand because a life cycle is another way to think about the work that you do. And it's another way to help ensure that you're doing the right things at the right times. So one example of a life cycle that exists in every business is a product life cycle. And we're defining life cycle here has a start and a finish, or a beginning and an end. If you look at any life cycle, it starts somewhere and it ends somewhere. So thinking about a product life cycle, this is a concept. If you do any learning in product management, you'll learn one of the first things they teach you is products have life cycles. When you think about what a product life cycle looks like, you have a starting point where somebody has an idea for a new product, and then that idea grows into either a functional demo or a prototype or something along those lines. From there, it continues to grow until it's an actual product that you can sell. That product has usually some life to it where it is sold by your business. And then at some point, for potentially many different reasons, you decide to not sell that product anymore. Either you release a new version or you decide that it's not working well and you don't want to sell that anymore. There are a bunch of reasons why you might decide to not sell a product anymore. They're not all bad. Doesn't mean you failed, anything like that. But the point is, at some point, that product is no longer something that your business sells, and you've got to be able to manage that life cycle from start to finish. Now, when we talk about people management also has a life cycle. There's an employee life cycle in your business. At some point, you've got to identify that you need a person, which is really where that life cycle begins. You're going to need to go out and find the resource that's going to fit your needs. You've got to bring that person on board. You've got to manage that person. And then at some point, that person is going to leave your business. It might be 20 years down the road, but I think it's safe to assume for any employee that you bring into your business or into your team, at some point, they're not going to work for you anymore. So when you think about life cycles and people, that's really what the life cycle looks like. And having that understanding of life cycles is going to help you think through, start to finish, what does your business need to successfully manage people? So let's talk then about what that life cycle looks like for people. I break it out into 4 distinct phases, okay? Hire, rewire, inspire, and retire. Now, these are 4 words, but they actually cover a lot of different scenarios and a lot of different processes that you need to think about as a business owner. Let's take them one at a time. The first one, hire. This is about how do you identify that you have a need in your business? How do you identify what type of resource? We talked about the 4 different types. Are you going to bring in a freelancer or a vendor or a contractor, or are you going to look to hire somebody and make them a quote unquote permanent employee of your business? That's what hire is about. And then how do you go through the actual screening process to get them and bring them on board so that they get to day one of starting as an employee of your company? That's what hire is, what hire looks like. That next phase is rewire. So now that you have this person on board, you've got to think about, they don't know your company culture. They don't know how you really work day to day. They don't know how other people that you might have in your business work. They might be learning things about your industry or the specifics about how you differentiate within your industry. There's a lot of information that a new employee is going to need to know. And you need to be able to educate them on, this is how we do business. So all of those systems that are related to getting a new person into the business, getting them started and getting them productive, all of that falls into this category of rewire. That next phase, inspire, this has 2 halves to it. First off, you need to inspire the people that are working for you. You need to make sure that they're motivated, that they come in each day, they do the work that they're responsible for, and that they're satisfied in the job that they have. All of that stuff, all of that people management, once they're in your business, I put in this category of inspire. Now, the second half to it is for a larger organization. If you've got managers that you're managing or managers within your business, you've got to do different additional work to keep those managers inspired and give them the tools so that they can inspire the people that they're responsible for managing. And how you do that is different than how you manage an individual contributor and keep them motivated and inspired to do work. So think of those 2 halves. There's inspiring the individual, and then there's training and teaching the managers and leaders in your organization how to inspire others. The last category is retire. So you think about once you get towards the end, and retire is a broad category. Okay. Don't think of just a person becomes 78 years old and now they don't want to work anymore and they retire. That's one of the things that you'll see in retire, but it also includes any other reason that somebody might leave your business. You need to have systems in place to help you manage those departures, no matter what the actual reason is. So one might be that actual retirement. Somebody gets to a spot where they're not going to work anymore, they retire from your business. Another might be they got a job offer somewhere else and they're leaving your business to go work for a different business. The third main category here is you might have performance issues with one of your people resources, and you've got to be able to manage through either a corrective action plan. And ultimately, at some point, if they're not able to make adjustments, you would actually need to remove that person from your business. So you've got to have systems in place in order to manage moving people out of your business for any reason that they might move out of your business. Now, each of these 4 categories, it's way too much to cover in 1 week. So this is basically just an introduction to people management and how I think about it. And then in the 4 following weeks here, we're going to cover each one of these topics individually. So next week, we'll talk about hiring and all of the different components to hiring, all of the different systems you need to be thinking about for your business, and we'll get into all of those details. The week after that, we'll do rewire, and so on and so forth over the next 4 weeks until we've covered each of these 4 topics individually. I do want to throw out, if you've got any questions or anything you're thinking about that you don't have great answers to when it comes to hiring people, go ahead and shoot me an email now, and I will work in the answers to your questions into the content that's coming over the next 4 weeks. That's going to be it today. It's a pretty short one. looking at the time, but just wanted to give that basic introduction to the topic of people management and set the stage for the coming weeks. There's much more to follow in this space. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you online.